Welcome back for another weekly interview with the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt was kind enough to take a couple of minutes out of his Sunday yesterday and speak with us on Wildcat 91.9 Live. It's a little bit of a special that we did. We don't do sports talk on Sundays, but after the historic win that Kansas State had against Oklahoma State, it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. And you know what? We're going to submit it for some awards because that recording went really well. So we're very happy with that. So thank you again, Wyatt, for all that you do for Wildcat 91.9 and Kansas State Nation in general.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy. I enjoy the work. We were saying off air, talking about this football team and what's going on at Kansas State right now is a heck of a lot of fun. And it is for you. It is for me. It is for everybody, right? So we're excited about what's going on.
Absolutely. So the success story that Kansas State has not experienced in a long time, Will Howard. Iron Will is on fire these days. I read the article that D. Scott Fritchen put out today, just another great piece by him. And it's what a testament to the character of Will Howard and the individual that he is and how he plays football. Just what's your impression of Will Howard in general, and how do you feel about him as a player and a person?
There isn't really anything about him that I know that I don't like yet. He is a terrific young person to start with. He really had a very difficult time in his start to his career at K-State, and we all know why. That was the COVID year, and he didn't really have a summer with the team, and the fall camp was really short, and he really wasn't going to be a factor until injury happened. And when Skylar went down, he was thrown in there. And clearly before he was ready. And yet I so admired how he battled it and got better. Yeah, he continued to make mistakes, but who wouldn't under those circumstances? And I've told him this to his face. I was so impressed with the way he handled it. He was a man in terms of coming in and answering every single question, whether he liked those questions or whether he didn't. He was a total pro about it. And I kind of felt right then, Kolby, and I guess that's the moral of the story here. This is a young man who very much is a confident young man who continues to strive to get better. He's clearly been raised by great parents. He's been well coached here. He's been patient. I've said this publicly too. A lot of guys in this scenario would have walked already, but not Will Howard. And I hope K-Staters appreciate him because he took a lot of guff in the beginning and never batted an eye. And he's been a man about it. And I'm happy as heck for him right now.
I think there's kind of a golden age of quarterbacks kind of stepping up at Kansas State. And I guess to an extent, the jury was kind of out on whether Chris Kleiman was in fact a quarterback whisperer. And it seems that he is for sure now. Skylar's in the NFL. You got guys like Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, Trey Lance, all of these guys that he's worked with that are now out in the NFL. And now you have Adrian Martinez and Will Howard. It's impressive for Kansas State.
You said a lot there, and most generally when people talk about Chris Kleiman, they either talk about his prowess as a head coach or his prowess as a defensive coach, and not so much as the quarterback guru as you described there. But the reality of it is he has developed a lot of really good quarterbacks, and I think that says a lot about how well-rounded this program is and the way they recruit, the way they develop players. All of that is of the utmost importance. And again, you got to put a lot of that on Will's shoulders. And a lot of people have responded to the game this past weekend. But not only that, but the embrace between Will and Adrian there at that one point. I think that tells you all you need to know about K-State's culture, frankly.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. So Kansas State, I'm looking at my statistics, just picked up their first Big 12 shutout since 2014. Almost 10 years have gone by since the Cats have done that. And of course, it's a historic win. I mean, of those 6 games, Kansas State is in the top 5 of the 6 where the teams that were ranked in the top 10 were shut out. It's very impressive for Kansas State and the culture of the program. But I'm curious about the defense. What do you think was the part that stuck out to you the most about how the defense operated against Oklahoma State?
Well, you start in all football games. It doesn't matter how prolific they are at running it or throwing it, but you have to somewhat try to neutralize the running game. It's not Oklahoma State's strength, so that may have made it a little bit easier, if there is such a thing. But they averaged 1.8 yards per carry. So what does that do? That eliminates, for the most part, the run game. It puts a lot more pressure on Spencer Sanders and on all of those offensive linemen and everybody. You saw them have some drops. I think they were pressing some too, because they knew that they had a lot of pressure on them to move the ball through the air because they couldn't on the ground. So it all starts there. I think I told you last week that this K-State defense just competes. And I believe as this season has gone on, most people are starting to recognize that K-State may not have the best front four or the best linebacking crew or maybe the best secondary, but as a collective group, they're playing as well as anybody. I mean, in league play, they're giving up less than 22 points a game. And on the season, they're giving up 17.3 points per game. So they're well coached. They're playing confidently and playing well.
Yeah, and it's impressive to see how kind of the secondary, which was the question mark at the beginning of the season, has really stepped up and put the ball in their hands. Honestly, they've come up with a lot of turnovers, a lot of interceptions. There's a big forced fumble against Oklahoma State from the linebacker core. It was very impressive. Now I'm going to sidestep, and we talked about Chris Tennant. We didn't see him kicking field goals or PATs, but hats off to Ty Zentner coming in as someone who's not usually the guy that does that and being money on the afternoon for Kansas State.
Well, Ty's been around a while, and he's experienced a lot of things. And I'm very impressed with what he's done. He's the kickoff man. Everybody knows that. He's the punter. He does a lot of things, and they put the kicking scoring chores on his shoulders the other day. And what does he do? He goes 6 for 6 on the extra points, 2 for 2 on field goals, doesn't blink. And with scoring 48 points, you're kicking off a lot. They didn't punt a lot, but I'll even tell you, I'll look here. He punted 4 times against OSU. So he probably slept pretty well Saturday night. He had a busy day and did a really good job. So I'm happy for him too. I know him pretty well. He's a really terrific young guy, and he's got to be thrilled with his Saturday, just like everybody else was.
Yeah, it was awesome to see him get the reps. And as a Topeka native, I was like, yeah, Topeka people,
Absolutely.
let's go.
Yeah, for sure. He's
For sure.
a good one, man. I love his work ethic and his approach. When I talked to him for pregame for our network on Saturday, he talked about the important things, and statistically, the most important thing to him is the net punting, that's a team thing, and he's all in on team. I guess that's the point.
That's awesome. So I guess my final thing is looking ahead to Texas. We have Quinn Ewers. He could be really good. He also can be really bad. And he did not look very good against Oklahoma State. He had under 50% completions. He threw multiple interceptions. And it looked like he just stood there in the pocket. And the minute that the pressure came, he just threw it. He's like, I don't want anything to do with the pass rush. And that's what Kansas State is really good at, is the pass rush. So what are we going to be able to do against Quinn Ewers to ensure that he's just dumping it off in the sideline all the time and bringing up 3rd and longs, 4th and longs, and getting Kansas State with the ball back?
Well, it's an interesting thing, because really what you described with Quinn Ewers is youth and inexperience. I think we all understand what kind of talent he is and what kind of quarterback he can be, but frankly, he's not there yet. It isn't to say that he couldn't come in here and play exceptionally well on Saturday and beat K-State. I don't mean that in any way, but he's 5 games into a career. And I'll put that into perspective the other way, is that, just looking at Kansas State's charts, Adrian Martinez has played 46 games. I mean, now think about the difference in that. Now, what do? Well, I think they try to get some easier throws for Ewers, and they can do that because they have a terrific tight end in Jatavion Sanders. They have a great player in the middle, although he's very fast. He's not real big, but you'll watch Xavier Worthy and marvel at his skill set. He's a very talented guy. And they do have number 5 in that backfield, Bijan Robinson, who is a pro and will be a really good one. So they surround him with good people. And I'm going to guess that he'll lean on that a little bit to try to overcome his inexperience, because he does have talent, just a limited number of games. And I'm looking forward to this one on so many levels, because you want K-State to respond in a positive way from what they did against OSU too. And that's important. They got to have a good week leading up to that, as always.
Of course. Yeah, I would very much like to see the Cats put pressure on him because, again, that inexperience, it's going to force errors, mistakes. We saw it against Oklahoma State. If we can demolish Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State has a come from behind win against Quinn Ewers, in theory, it makes sense that we should have a good game, but how many times have we seen a Texas quarterback who's not looked very great show up with his hair on fire and light it up? So
yeah, and every week is different. You and I talked about that before, I think in the preseason show, that this is a hard league. Let's be honest. Texas has handled K-State here recently, like Oklahoma State had done until Saturday. So maybe we'll get a little payback on them too. Who knows?
Get over the hump and find yourself in a very nice spot in second place in the league. That'll be great. Well, for Wyatt, I appreciate your time. And as always, good luck to you and Stan later this week with your broadcast for the Texas game.
Thanks, buddy. Always great talking to you, Kolby. Keep up the good work, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. What's going on YouTube? It's Kolby Van Camp. Thank you for sticking around to finish out my video. It'd mean a lot to me if you'd hit the like, smash subscribe, and ring the heck out of that bell so that you never miss another one of my athletic coverage videos. Again, looking forward to our next time. See you soon.